This wall is the reason I got into houseplants in the first place. I wanted a big, beautiful green wall in my bathroom. It became apparent that this window is too small and too northern really to grow anything except for potters. I tried out several different kinds of plants but moved them through to the other rooms. I tried out this one and it lasted really well, and I mean it didn't do much all winter. It took the whole winter to grow this one leaf, but it still looks fine, so it's not going to grow its happiest life here, but they'll survive. I got these two big ones for Christmas, and they have actually been growing. They've grown about a foot and 4 or so leaves on every growing point. So we'll see how it goes. And here's the window. All sorts will grow in the window. I've got this Tillandsia Usnioides, an air plant, it doesn't need any soil, and a Tillandsia Guatamalensis, maybe Ionantha. Maybe it's Ionantha. I don't know. These guys, I soak them for about an hour once a week in rainwater. This is an orchid I got the Easter Bunny, so that's very, very recent, and I don't know too much about orchids. I'm hoping it'll be happy in this light because I think it'll like the humidity from being in a bathroom. This Maranta's really enjoying it in here. It's been growing really quickly. Not as much as this one, which, can you see that? The green version, kind of simpler, but it started flowering. I didn't know they did that indoors. I feel like I hardly ever water these either, actually. I know they're supposed to be moisture loving, but maybe because it stays humid in the bathroom, they don't need that much water, or the soil doesn't dry out too much. This is the small bedroom. I put up this plant shelf when I got too many plants for the windowsills. I start with the spider bunny. It has curly leaves. I love it. I hardly ever water it. Again, I'm paranoid that it'll rot. Seems happy enough up there. The babies don't look too curly. I bought it with all these babies. By the way, they didn't grow in this light. I don't think it would produce this many babies in this light. They don't look too curly. I don't know if that's about the light or if they'll get curlier when they grow up. I hope they get curly though. This is a very sad looking Fittonia. We were self-watering it, but I think it was too much water with the wick and it went all brown and crispy and sad. So we're going to take the wick out and water it normally. It should grow roots down into the water and it'll become self-watering that way. They're supposed to be quite forgiving if you're not drowning them. Here's a Philodendron micans. I heard it was named something different. I don't know what the different thing is. It goes through lots of different beautiful colour phases in its leaves. When they're new, they're green like this. Then they go through this kind of, I don't know what that colour is, reddy, browny, greeny phase. Then they go this kind of reddish black. They're really velvety. The back's red. And then when they die off, they go kind of orange, deep orange, red. It's beautiful. This is a Monstera monkey mask. This leaf is not too happy. It's old. I bought a plant from Death Row, quite a big plant, and cut it up into lots of pieces. Put them in different places to see how it would be happiest. I wanted to grow it trailing. You see all those beautiful trailing monkey masks, but after doing some more research and having some more experience, I think they really do just want to climb up, so I'll see. I don't know what I'd stake it on because I don't really like the moss pole look, but we'll see. It is starting to forgive me for what I did to it. This was This nub was dormant all winter and now suddenly it started sprouting leaves. So that's cool. I think in a while, maybe in a year, I'll be able to plant them all in together. But for now, we'll just see what they do. Here's a load of Tradescantia and Calizia. This Zebrina Tradescantia I bought in a tiny little pot, about that big. This was one of the first plants that I bought. And I put it in the bathroom. It was all right in the northern, right in the window, but I moved it onto the wall and then it just rotted off. And I put all the little stalks into this pot in the south window. And it grew like crazy. So that Tradescantia, I don't know, it dries off, it dries out and it drops off and then it roots. Or it gets overwatered and it drops off and it roots. It's kind of fussy, but then it forgives you so quickly. So it gets to stay. Here's some more. This is it's related to Tradescantia, or possibly is a Tradescantia, but when they're striped like this, I think they're called Calizia. This was from a variety pot, and all the other plants from the variety pot died because it had a really bad case of vine weevil, but the Tradescantia didn't seem to care about that. So similarly, they've kind of all rotted off and rerouted, and now they've just exploded. You can't even really see the ground in the top because it's branching so much. They're beautiful. They're kind of rosette forming. You know. I love the colour as well, the pale green colour. I'm trying some Tradescantia in a self-watering planter back here. Kind of then I won't have to think about when to water it. Here's a banana tree. A dwarf banana tree with a load of random Tradescantia. This one isn't too happy. It's growing. It's growing lots of little babies. But it always has these brown tips. I guess maybe it's a humidity thing, but I don't fancy buying a humidifier for my plants, so meh, I don't know. Maybe I'll try and swap it with someone who likes humidity or put it in the bathroom. It hasn't grown much taller, but it's grown babies. Maybe it's just trying to get away. Here's Opuntia Pepperspot. This was, I think, the second plant that I bought. Not in the hype phase when it was expensive. This was about $5. It's grown a lot though. It was this little sort of, about this high when I bought it. Again, I tried this one in the bathroom. That's why you've got these really long stalks. They just tried to stretch for the sun. That wasn't ever going to be there. So I moved it in here. It's very close to a south-facing window now. It's growing quite happily. I put it in a self-watering planter as well. It's growing these roots down. A lot of algae. Maybe I should have washed that out, but I quite like the colour really. See-through planter. Turns out that's not appropriate for Opuntia because it's trying to grow babies underground because it thinks that the edge of the soil where the sun reaches it is the sky. Got another baby growing under there. I don't think that's going to be able to crawl all the way up. I don't know. We'll see. When this one makes it to the top, I'll cover over the pot and it will stop trying to make babies underground. I've already cut one baby off it. I don't know. Getting my shadow in the way there. I love it. I love round leaves and things that grow quickly and make babies. Speaking of round leaves, it's a Peperomia Pepperspot. I'm not sure what its technical name is. Grows really, really quickly in this window. I don't think it needs all this light, but it's enjoying it. It's growing. It grew about from there down to there in about, I don't know, 5 months. And I've cut it twice to make babies. get a bit overexcited about propagation as presents for people. I want to grow it long now. Like, maybe I'll grow it down and put another shelf up there and have it up high. I love the trailing plant thing. Another round leaf plant, Xericius dangui. Apparently it's a relative of a cucumber, and if you grow it from seed it'll form a caudex, but not as a cutting. This is only a tiny baby cutting, it's not even rooted. I got it online quite recently. Really hope it grows because I think it's adorable. Here's another Peperomia. I don't know what type it is, but I grew it from a leaf. This is bad. There we go. Grew it from a few leaves. I love growing baby plants because they change so quickly. This might be a bit too much light for it. I don't know if that bleaches the colour. I've heard stuff about that, but we'll see. And here I've got some more Peperomias propagating. And a load of succulents propagating. It's just a random selection. This one, by my finger, should grow sort of a gorgon head of little stars. What do I mean? I mean, it'll grow long snaky stalks with stars at the end, these rosettes. I really love it. This one, this is that Panda Kalanchoe. The baby leaves haven't developed the dots yet. Lots of sedum, Echeveria, loads of jade. I've got a few ogres in here and a few normal jades. Here there's a load more leaf propagations. This one, this grows super duper duper fast. These leaves went in as one leaf at the same time as these ones. This is a whole little plant. Maybe it's a type of Crassula. I feel like Crassula grows really quickly. Here's another fast growing Crassula. This was a little twig that I lay down on the soil and it rooted and then it pulled the stalk upright and just grew a million branches. This one I think is hardy in the UK, frost hardy. I think it's an alpine, so maybe I'll start a tiny window rockery. There's a few more rosette forming ones. Here's a few more alpines. This one I'm excited about. I'm going to take it over here for a show and tell. This is Stapelia, most of it. These stalks are Stapelia. They have amazing flowers that look like starfish. Apparently they're kind of stinky. We'll see, hopefully. I had it in a north-facing window because I thought it's a jungle cactus and it didn't want much light, but it just didn't really do anything and kind of looked like it was dying and drying up in that north-facing window. So I've moved it through to here, and maybe it's just that it's spring, but maybe it's the light. Now it's growing babies. So I'm excited about that. It has gone red. I think it's got too much light, but it's growing. So, you know, maybe I'll just pull it back when they're a bit bigger. I've also got some Ripsalis in there. And another, I don't really know my different rosette forming succulents from each other very well. I water these guys all when they're super dry with rainwater. And jade, I know jade is super pedestrian, but I want to tell you about it anyway. It's really rewarding to grow. This one, oh, here's another alpine. This one, it was about this big when I got it. I got it for £1 at a charity shop, and it had about 4 leaves, and now 7 or 8 months later it's already turning into a tree. Like, it's got this baby branch, and then, sorry, that's the baby branch, this grown-up branch has been working on for a while, and this month it's just, it branched there all by itself, and then right away branched again. It's just quite a fast growing, happy succulent. I know it doesn't need to be right in the south window, but I think it probably makes it grow more quickly. And it has these pink tips. I don't know if it does that without the sun. This is the last plant in this room. It's another Tradescantia, Bucalizia. This was another, it was a few stalks. I bought the plant for my auntie and I took a few stalks off it and grew it on, and it just exploded. I love it. It looks like flowers. That's it for this room. This is the big room. It's really messy, so I'm going to try to show you just the plants. Here's a Dracaena Fragrans. I don't know, is it Fragrans? If it doesn't have the really big stem. Is it just a less mature Fragrans? It has the big wide leaves. I love these leaves. They're kind of curling round. I don't know if that's an underwatered thing. I see them a lot with that. But I'm scared to water it too much. It seems to be an orchid bark. I don't know if that's normal. Anyway, I got it just after my first houseplant death, so I just wanted plants that were going to be sturdy and stay with me forever. It was a Christmas present. This is a Philodendron Hastatum. I love the silver leaves. I got it online in sort of an online plant binge. I got it quite recently, so it's still recuperating from being in the mail. I did a bit of a plant binge when Corona had us all locked down because I wasn't going to be able to go to my plant shops anymore. Here's my ZZ plant / fertility shrine. 2 different people decided to give everyone vaginas for Christmas this year. There's another one around here. That one belongs to my partner. It's a Zamioculcas samifolia zenzi, which is a dwarf variety, so it won't get super duper tall. And the leaves are really compact. They're all really close together. I love it. It's kind of ruined me for other ZZs. I wanted potentially to get a really big one to put somewhere else, but whenever I see the non-dwarf varieties, they just don't look as cute. All the leaves are so spaced out. Here's a weird picture of an armadillo. Again, I hardly ever water it. I think I've only watered it maybe 3 times since October. I'm paranoid of overwatering it with it at this distance from the window. It's supposed to be pretty good for not having pests, but I think something's been eating it. I don't know. Here's a spider. This is several babies from 2 different friends' spider plants. It seems to be doing fine here. It's grown a lot. This is one of the only pots that I've actually bought. Most of the pots are made or inherited or, I don't know, taken from a bin. There is a Sansevieria, which, again, it was from Death Row. And it had all these little brown spots, so I dabbed them with different colours nail polish. Just to make it look happy. These are all cuttings, it's not a full plant. They sell them like this because it looks cute, but the babies will come out like this, sort of in little, kind of go out to the side more. This is me in my DIY clothes. I'm on furlough, so I'm painting. Here's a Cebu blue. I got this at a similar time as the Hastatum, also from the post. Selling point is supposed to be this blue tinge, but you don't really see the blue tone. Not on camera. It's nice though. It's supposed to be closely related to the golden potos, so I don't know, maybe I'll try it in my dark bathroom when it's a bit bigger. I'll try and grow it into more of a full plant though. I'm trying some ground layering, so I've pinned it down in 2 separate places to, I hope it roots from those nodes, and then it'll have more growth points when I cut it off from the nodes after it's rooted. We'll see. This is a pot that my 2-year-old and I painted together. Let's see, here's a Ficus Ginseng, which I got by accident because I was trying to buy a Pachyra aquatica. I didn't really know very much about Pachyra aquatica at the time, so I ended up with a Ficus Ginseng, but I really like it. It was, again, off death row. I don't only buy plants off death row, but I do have a weak spot for dying plants. The roots are all shriveled at the time, so they've kind of chunked up again, which is nice. And it started sprouting all these leaves, so I think it's fully recovered. Another Sansevieria. This usually lives in the bathroom, but it had an accident. It's not in a pot at the moment. And I didn't water it for ages because it wasn't getting much light, and I think some of the leaves have started collapsing. So it does need some water. It's a fun version though. Apparently it sends out kind of babies like a spider plant. Probably not if you're not giving it any light, but I'd like to see it do its growing. Here's my Hoya Australis Lisa. Again, online plant binge. I'm trying the ground layering thing with this as well, so it's pinned down at 2 separate points. I don't think you can see it, whatever. It's supposed to be really easy to grow and easy to flower, and the flowers are supposed to smell nice, so looking forward to that. But really I bought it because it had these beautiful round leaves, like an Obovata as well, but I kind of wanted to buy a bigger, fuller plant. And bigger Obovata would be way more expensive. It's beautiful. I don't really know where it wants to live. I want to put a few Hoyas downstairs in the living room because it's a south-facing room, but we've got all these trees across, so it doesn't actually get that much direct sunlight. So I thought maybe I'd like to try a few Hoyas in there. Here's my Ceropegia Woodii. I love this plant. It's supposed to grow really quickly. Mine hasn't done that much yet, but I've only had it a month or so. It might just be all cuttings that aren't properly rooted yet, so we'll see if it takes off at some point. I know it's not supposed to want all this light, but again, it's not. We have all these trees, so it seems to be enough for the succulents, but I'm hoping it also won't be too much for the Ceropegia. Here's some more Peperomia. These ones can't get the light. Let's see. I grew this from I love it. I grew this from a few little stalks, and it's just grown. I've cut it back actually, it was longer than this. Apparently it grows more in the winter, so maybe it won't grow as much in the summer season, but it was just a few leaves, and in about 5 months it's grown so much. Here's a little baby jade plant. This is officially my 2-year-old's jade plant in a pot that she and I decorated together. This baby's grown a lot. This is not my plant. I'm keeping it for a friend who doesn't have enough light at the moment. When they move, they'll have that back. I don't know what it's called. This is another leaf propagation. This was one of my first leaf propagations, so it's pretty big now. It's a blue think Echeveria. It's beautiful. No idea what this is called. I've tried to look it up, but it's difficult when it doesn't really grow like other things. I bought this as kind of a small plant rather than growing it from a leaf. This is some kind of a sedum, which is branching a lot right now. I don't know if you can see it in this light. It's growing all these branches. It's just kind of jumped into life. It loses a lot of leaves. I don't know if I'm miswatering it or if that's just how it grows. I might cut one of the heads off and stick it in the soil there because it's all bare. I think it will probably root quite quickly, going from all the aerial roots it has. These are some bare pots. I'm trying to grow a mango from seed. I know it won't produce fruits inside, but just love watching seeds grow. This is, can't remember if this is an avocado or a mango. I've got a load of avocado seeds in a bathroom cupboard trying to sprout them. We'll see. This is some sort of a bulb that one of my housemates has asked me to keep in this south window. It'll be an edible bulb, but it'll grow. You see the stalk? That's the dead stalk. The bulb's under there. It'll grow beautiful flowers, apparently. We'll see if and when that comes out. Don't know what this is called, but I'm trying to grow it self-watering. I can start seeing its roots. It's properly rooted into the new pot now. I just watered it, so it's all, you can see the condensation on the inside. Just thought it would be fun and counterintuitive to have a self-watering succulent. Here's a Hoya volubilis. I love this plant. This is fairly new. I've had it a month or two and I got it from eBay. This fuzzy green stuff dies off every year and the onion just gets bigger and bigger. It turns sort of, I don't know, eventually almost football sized, maybe a bit smaller. And it splits itself off. It makes babies. I just think it's so weird and beautiful and weird. Mostly weird. It was kind of, it's advertised as a collector's plant rather than as a design plant, but I think it's beautiful. Here's a spikeless ferrocactus. I think it's a ferrocactus. Again, I don't water it much because I'm paranoid it'll die. I love it. Just got this from my local market flower stall. They have just some random odd stuff. You don't know what they're going to have. I like cacti. I think they're beautiful, but I don't like things that'll spike me, so I'm very excited to find one that you can touch. I like touching my plants. Here's an ogre ear, which mainly I bought because I liked the pot and it was like £2 in a supermarket. But also I love growing jade. It's supposed to be the same genus, I think, as the jade plants. But not same genus, same species. But a different mutation. Maybe a mutation, maybe it's just a different kind. I don't know. It's weird. Looks like a sea plant or a sea creature. Here's a Bocania recavata or Bocania nolina. Just watered it. It was looking a bit shriveled. It's a little baby, so it's supposed to grow all these beautiful ringlets, but right now it just looks like grass coming out of a stump. It's cool though. These are some more of my earlier succulent leaf propagations. This is one of my favorites. Again, it'll be one of those many-headed, long, snaky things. Got it from a guy with a greenhouse and a sign on a busy, busy road saying, "Cactuses for sale." It's growing a little baby. I didn't know it would do that. I thought I'd have to take more leaves and root those before I'd have multiple heads, but it grows its own leaves. It grows its own, branches, I mean. I love it. And this is a propagation experiment. It's trying to see if the trailing peperomia would root from leaves. I don't think it's really doing it. Maybe it would do it if I gave it a little glass dome. I don't know, maybe not, because this is supposed to be a propagation chamber. I don't know what was originally in the jar, but I put marbles in it to keep the leaves up off. And they're not really doing anything, so I think maybe the trailing peperomia just isn't for leaf propagation. It prefers to propagate by stem cutting. There's also a string of heart stem in there. This is my Tillandsia Xerographica, which is wet because I just watered it. Just like the other Tillandsia, I soak it for about an hour in rainwater, which I collect in water vats in the garden. This guy, it had an argument with a radiator. It fell down from where it was sitting and it was just smushed up against the radiator for several hours before I found it. So just half of it was burned off, which was tragic. I cut a load of the leaves right down to here, but so it started to grow back now just in the last 2 months. It happened about 5 or 6 months ago. In the last 2 months, it's grown sort of, I don't know, more than an inch and a half or so. So I'm glad about that because I thought it had just sort of given up on life. It wasn't really doing anything in the winter. Probably it was just the season. I love it. It's huge and weird and grows very slowly. It's got an interesting story actually behind its cultivation. It was being over collected from the wild and it became endangered. I don't know, it's too long of a story, but Google it if you're interested. Unlike smaller Tillandsia, which have about often a yearly cycle of growing and flowering and having pups and then dying, this guy grows for about 10 or 13 years in the wild before it'll flower and have pups, and usually it'll only have 1 or 2 pups. Here's a slightly happier Fittonia, again in a self-watering planter, but no water, too much. It doesn't want to be in the full sun. I kind of have it tucked around the corner, but it does get some light at some times of the day. Again, I'm hoping that its roots will just grow down into the bottom jar and it can water itself then. This is my biggest jade plant. I rescued it from an office and it was all weeping like a weeping willow. I thought it was a special kind of jade, but it turned out it had just had not enough light for a long time and got really, really, really leggy. So I cut it all right back. You can see the stumps where I cut it. I cut most of the leaves off, and in the last month or 2 it's just been slowly sprouting leaves. Now it's all green and tree-like. I'd like to grow a really big, mighty, beautiful jade. This is one of the weeping branches, and I thought it would be fun to, I think it should start growing up, and I'm hoping eventually it'll just be this really tree-like, weird, upside down, snaky plant. The end isn't actually showing much sign of life at the moment, but it's showing, the stalk itself it's sprouting several babies. We'll see what happens. This is a Myrtillocactus Geometrizans. It's supposed to grow quite quickly. We'll see how it does indoors. I don't think it's focusing properly. Don't water it much. And I give it as much light as possible. Oh. I want to see it from that side. There we go. And here's my Opuntia. This one's very, very new. Again, online plant binge. I thought it didn't have any spikes, but it has all these little glochid pouches. I bought it because of the spike freeness and because it's so fat. And I like fat plants. It has all these glochid pockets. I thought I might just be able to cut the glochids off. Sorry, people who don't approve of cutting spikes of cacti. But it turns out they're like these pouches of just self-regenerating glochids. They're evil. Glochids just want to jump out of the cactus into your skin. However, I got it as a pad and most of its roots had died off in the post. But excitingly, it seems to be growing. I think it's a pad. I think the pads and the fruits look really similar at first, but it's kind of flattening. At this point, I'm more enthusiastic about it growing pads than fruits. I want it to be a big, weird, beautiful Dr. Seuss tree. And here's another Dracaena. Not sure I even mentioned the Dracaena in the other room. This is a cutting. I was led to believe that propagating Dracaena was very easy and foolproof, but most of my Dracaena cuttings that I have just rotted off. Here's one that, I don't know, it might just make it. It's got this one tiny little spike leaf left. We'll see. They take a really long time to die. Focus. I'm not sure how I feel about Dracaena. I mean, I love this one, the Christmas present one. I'm not sure I'm into these very long strappy leaves. I like how it's a weird S shape though. I like weird shaped plants. And then we've got the stairs. We've got this big north-facing window, which is colonised with various houseplants. First up, peace lily, not flowering. This isn't mine. It's living here until two of my housemates move out and probably take it with them. I'm kind of looking forward to putting something else there, but also not in a hurry because it looks good. It's a lot floppier than I see other people's peace lilies. I don't know if I'm permanently underwatering it, but again, scared of overwatering. This is kind of a variety pot. I've got this Dracaena is a rescue from an office. They kind of just happen to you, don't they? Dracaena Marginatas. We knocked one of the heads off trying to get it into the car. So that's been growing back slowly over the past, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months. And then in the bottom, Oxalis triangularis, the green one. I really like this one. I got it. This was probably the most death row of plants that I've ever bought. It turned out it had a lot of pests. I didn't really check properly. That was one of the early ones, but I did actually manage to eradicate them just by picking them off every time they came back. It's a very happy plant at the moment. Well, it's probably collapsed a bit because I've been patching it. But it's really sweet how it kind of opens up to the light. And it's supposed to be deceptively sturdy because it all grows from bulbs in the bottom. It's always got bits dying, but there are also always bits growing back. Can you see all these? It's trying to flower. It's desperately trying to flower. And in the first few months I had it, I don't know if you can't really see it, it's too dark. See those little pale nubs? Those are flower buds. It seems to want to flower all the time, really. And I thought for a while now I'll just pick off the flowers so that it can focus on leaf production, but it's just desperately sending out more and more and more flowers. So I don't know, I might let They're purple. They're quite sweet, but it's not my favourite colour. It's kind of a pale purple. Here's a fern. I don't know what kind of fern it is. Looks pretty classically fern-like. This has been growing really quickly. It was one of the really small pots when I got it not too long ago. I was a bit nervous about going into ferns because they're supposed to be fussy about water, but it's self-watering. This is something that likes self-watering and having constant water fed to it. And it's just really happy. It's happy in this light, I think, as well. So I might get more ferns because I really like those blue ones. I might try some of the blue ones. Here's the happiest Fittonia we have. Seems to like the light as well in the north-facing window. This is a tiny little bulb that came out of the peace lily when I was grooming it, and I don't think it likes being alone. I think they like being all together, like in the big pot. I also forgot about it and didn't water it for ages. Well, we'll see. I used to have another Dracaena tucked in there, but I've moved that to the other room now. And up here, I had kind of a nursery going. It's diminished a bit. Here's a dead Christmas cactus. I don't know, it might still pull through, but it's not looking promising. Maybe. I've heard that they're supposed to do a lot better propagating if you've got a dome over it to keep the humidity up while it's rooting. I just thought it would be a bit more like a succulent and it wouldn't need that. More Peperomia. These are mostly the same. I've got one different one. Again, these are all from leaves. This one is slightly different. It's still the clump forming ones, but it's got a really nice red underside and kind of a darker, more grey tone top. It's growing a lot more slowly. These leaves went in a few months after these ones, but I don't know, there seems to be a lot less still, even accounting for that. I like it. I'm looking forward to it growing up. Here's some more Tradescantia from the same failed pot. These are these really pale, pathetic leaves are what grew when it was on the dark window, on the dark wall away from the north window. It's just kind of no colouring and the leaf has no substance to it. Then I moved it and it grew out, and then I moved it to this window and it's going completely pink on some leaves. I don't know what's happening there. I knew one of my friends had one that went pink, but she just moved it into a conservatory, so I thought it was about having a lot of light. I mean, it gets a lot of light here, but it's all north-facing light. I don't know what's up with that. This is another self-watering one, but I planted the roots straight away. Just how it went in, it happened to have really long roots that reached all the way down. So I don't have it sitting in water all the time because I'm afraid it'll just be the roots and the mud around the roots will pull it up so much that it'll be oversaturated the whole time. But I should water it now, it's pretty dry. Seems to be quite happy though. Hasn't been in here for too long. I might hang this one up. This is the Jade Nursery. This is my housemate's cactus. I think she adopted it from a workmate who left. But with Corona, it's come home with her. These are all the happy, normal, straight up jades. They're doing really well and rooting. And these are all the really sad, the bits that were weeping willowy, all etiolated. They're not doing too well. I think partly they're taking longer to root and I didn't water them enough. I left it a bit too long and they didn't really have reserves like they did. I'm hoping they'll pull through because I think it would be fun to have a really twisty, weird little jade forest. I think we'll probably lose most of these leaves because they're all really thin. But they are showing signs of life. This is a new bud. We've got loads of little new buds like that all along the stems. So if they can pull through, we'll see. And this is plant quarantine. This Syngonium neon, I think it's called. It was living in the bathroom for a long time on the dark wall, which is why all these stems are so stretched out, I think. I decided I should finally give it a break, give it some light, and deal with its aphid problem. It's growing all these... Sorry, I'm right up close because I wanted to show you. It's really trying. It has loads of new growth points coming up. I think it's enjoying having light again. There's a really beautiful sort of pinkish leaves. And a really nice grassy green. It deserves better than that dark wall. We've got a really dark Syngonium in another room that someday I might try some of that on the wall because I feel like it might do better. So now it's a bit of a sprawling plant. It's quite cute, but I don't think it wants to be that way. And here's some more Dracaena. Heads. Propagations. I basically hacked up a big kind of sprawling Dracaena and put all the heads in pots. And all the stumps, which I thought were supposed to re-sprout, died off, tragically. Some of the heads died off. I think this one's dead. I think it is actually, it did root, or maybe not. But I think it's pretty dead now. Yeah, no. There we go. I think they died off because I wasn't giving them enough light. Half of the heads made it. Eventually I think I'll plant all of the Dracaena in one pot together because I think it looks best with as many heads as possible. Here's some more random Tradescantia. I decided to plant it into as many pots as possible to see where it would not rot off or dry off. Here's some bismuth. It's kind of a plant ornament. I love it. Apparently it comes out of the ground looking like tin foil. And then you super duper melt it down and cool it really quickly in water. It goes into all these pyramid formations. It's amazing. Now we're in my housemate's room. I think this is kind of a Crassula. I'm looking at them now and kind of hoping they might do a swapsies with me for a little stem for maybe a baby Peperomia. Yeah. I think this is a Calathea mosaica. This used to be my plant and it didn't like me and I really liked it, but I don't know, I guess my space was wrong for it or something and it just lost several leaves and then I gave it to Mavi and now it's like twice as big with a billion times as many leaves. So that's that plant. And a Scindapsus pictus, I think, maybe. And and some ponies. Now we're in another one of my housemates' rooms. I live with a lot of people. This is, I think it's a dying Sarracenia. I think it could still be saved. She's planning to try putting it in a terrarium and give it maybe some more light. This is a north-facing room. It's unobstructed. It's really nice north light, but there's no sun. I love this pot though. Here's a blue star fern, which I think has kind of turned itself self-watering just by being in its nursery pot is in a bigger outer pot, so the roots grow down into the water. I love this. It has these fuzzy little creeping things, which I think if they get longer you could snap them off and plant them somewhere else and propagate it that way, because it grows fronds from them. It looks like it's just going to climb out of the pot and walk away. It's another orchid, which she got recently as a birthday present, and a Pilia Grazie, which is also slowly creeping out of its pot. Here's a dark green Syngonium. It's supposed to be all, I think this is the shape it's supposed to be, rather than the floppy one downstairs. It's got these beautiful red undersides. I can't remember what's this called. What's this called?
I think it's
Camellia.
it sounds like to me.
Some sort of a parlour palm. It's doing really well in this northern room. Sent out a lot of new growth. All these pale green ones. Big spider plant. This is the mother of a few of the babies in my big bedroom. And a big old fig tree. There's another one of these beautiful vaginas. Oh, two. This is the last plant, sort of plant. It used to be a big, beautiful Begonia Rex in the pot with the Calisia. But like I said, it had a bad case of vine weevil, it turned out, when I bought it. And slowly every leaf just turned yellow and keeled over. I tried to do a rescue mission on it. I dug out all the roots and rinsed them off and replanted them. And I heard they could go dormant, so I thought I'd just wait it out. I got really bored of waiting though, and I almost threw it away. But then this thing started growing. And I don't want a Begonia Rex anymore, because I've since learnt that they want a humidifier. But I just don't have the heart to throw it out when it's doing this growing thing. I might wait it out a bit more and put it in a smaller pot. Maybe give it a dome for a while. I know it gets way too big for a dome. I don't know, but it's at this point in my plant schooling, it's just interesting to see what stuff does. And that's everything.